Hi, eighth grade. So far in this unit, we've looked at how water shapes land. We've looked at how ice shapes land. We've looked at how wind shapes land. We need to talk about how gravity shapes the land. So when we talk about gravity moving the land, we call it mass movement. So all of these things, these examples I'm going to give you today are examples of mass movement. And that's just the shifting of rocks and soil from gravity. Creep is the one that we have that's really slow. So it's a really gradual working its way downhill. And so you can see these trees grow straight up and down. They don't curve like this. But what happens is as the soil is pushed that way, it's pulled downhill, the tree trunks and everything get pulled downhill. The tree tried to correct that. And that's where you see the curve because this hill is creeping downhill. So it's real slow. And that makes sense because when you see the word creep, like the character was creeping across the screen, he was moving really slowly. Then rapid mass movement is pretty much what it sounds. It's fast. And these other examples are all examples of rapid mass movement. So they're really sudden. They can be very destructive. They can be very dangerous. They can cause loss of life. They definitely cause damage to property. They tend to happen more on steep slopes, and especially with extra water, like heavy rainfalls tend to trigger things. But they can be pretty disastrous. So the rest of these examples are all examples of rapid mass movement because they happen fast. And this is an example of geologists not always being creative with our vocabulary, and that's okay. Rockfall is when rocks fall. It could be boulders, it could be down to pebbles, anywhere in between. It could be falling off of a cliff near a road cut. It could be falling off the cliff down the side, hopefully without cars underneath, because they can be very, very large. Landslides are when you have like this dirt and the soil and the land itself. It's not just a rock, but like the land itself moves downhill. It'll move plants, it'll move animals. Hopefully the birds fly away, but it'll move plants and animals, it'll move vehicles, it'll move buildings. But it tends to get kind of triggered or can be very triggered by heavy rains because one, the rain's going to saturate the ground and make it wet, and that has less friction holding it together. And two, rain, it's water, it has weight to it, and so it'll kind of speed that movement downhill. Deforestation is going to have an impact on landslides and mudslides too, because the roots aren't there to hold the hillside together anymore. And then construction also, because you've got movement, you've got vibrations from big materials, big trucks and stuff, and that can cause an issue. Also happens with earthquakes because the earth has already been shaken, and so it doesn't take much for it to trigger more of a fall. The others we need to talk about are mud flows. So we have landslides where it's more dry land. Mud flow, it's just more saturated. They tend to happen in mountainous regions, especially deforested mountainous regions, especially deforested mountainous regions that have long dry seasons and then a rainy season, because that soil gets really, really dry. There's not a lot of roots holding it together. And then all that rain comes at once and gravity will just take a village off the mountainside. They can be really disastrous. One specific type of mud flow is called a lahar. It's a volcanic mud flow. So if you imagine at the peak of a mountain, of a volcano, because that's mountain, volcanoes are mountains, you get snow, you get glacial ice. Okay, that's a lovely drawing, but there's a mountain with snow at the top. And when the magma comes up, when the volcano erupts, all this melts really fast and it rushes downhill and it mixes with that volcanic ash, pulverized rock dust. And these can be like barreling rivers of wet cement type material traveling at 60 miles an hour or more down the hill. They can be extremely dangerous. So those are the main examples of mass movement. We include one other little clip for you to take a look at the bottom, or a second video for you to watch. And if you could, these notes were on, I forget what page number now, page 11. Please ignore my small child who is photobombing me in the back, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Have a great day.